me. She my pretty young thing, and I do anything for her.
Love you, ay, pretty young thing. You need some loving from a real one. I wanna love you, ay, pretty young thing. You need some loving, and I'm a real one. Hold up, what's up? What's your name? I should've asked the verse before, don't throw shade. A lot of girls do too much for that fame, but I can get to know you just from your page.
Tips for pre-med students. This is a must-see if you're a high school student, if you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore, junior, senior, but definitely if you are an incoming freshman, sophomore, if you're in high school and you want to be a pre-med major. This is going to give you a lot of tips on pre-med and how it refers or relates to the application process for medical school. So a lot of people want to be pre-med majors, nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people don't always get so much information on what is needed on the MCAT application to distinguish yourself from the millions of other students that are going to be trying to get into med school at the same time you're getting into med school. So through like completing the application process, I was able to like talk. One of my cousins was actually becoming a pre-med major, so he hold on. Yeah, one of my cousins, decided that he was going to college and he wanted to major in pre-med as well. So he asked me, what do I need to, what are some tips for pre-med students, basically? And I was like, well, as I was giving him a million tips, I was like, wow, this is great information that not everybody has access to. Like, not everybody has the access to talk to somebody who's pre-med and applying for med school and about to take the MCAT, all that. Not that many people have resources to get the answers to those questions. So here I am to get the answers to those questions. So these are tips. So let's see. My first tip would be to make sure you actually, if you are still in high school, be involved in high school activities as well. Not just for like getting into college, but there are a few medical schools who will ask you about your leadership activities in high school. They'll ask you about how many people are in your graduating class. So make sure you remember that if you don't know it. But they'll ask about some of your leaderships in high school and all of that other stuff. So yeah, actually do things in high school, not just for your college application, but also for your med school application, because they're still going to want to know. Okay, then another tip. When you get to college, make sure that you have some teachers that you take a liking to or who have taken a liking to you. Always distinguish yourself from the rest of the students. And one thing I can say is something that I didn't necessarily try to do, but I was able to distinguish myself from a lot of students. I don't know. I think it was really my teachers. It depends on the school you go to. Now, I say if you don't go to an HBCU and you're a minority or whatever, and you go to a PWI, I'm not necessarily sure how do you establish their relationship with your teachers, but I guess it would be to talk to them and to go to their offices more, things like that. But as a student from an HBCU, I didn't always talk to my teachers outside of class. I knew you were supposed to do it, but I was like, I got stuff to do. I ain't got time to be sitting here talking to my teachers that I'm doing fine in class. So, but even though I thought that, a lot of my teachers would pay attention to how I just behaved in class, period, and could develop they could learn a lot about me just from me being in class. I necessarily didn't always have to come to their office in order for them to know that I was a good student. So basically, don't be on your phone in class. Always pay attention, ask questions, help other students. Like, those things there will show your teachers a lot about you. Like, study, get good grades. Like, sometimes just getting good grades, being quiet in class, or only asking questions, when you need them, or asking great questions. Those are some things that can make you stand out in class without even having to go to your teacher's office and talk to them about just life or whatever. But I always encourage you to go talk to your teachers about anything. Like, ask them questions about, how did you feel? A good question to ask your teachers if you are going to go to their office could be, if there's one thing you could have told yourself in college that you think could have prepared you more for the future, what is it that it would have been? If it's one thing you could change about your college experience, what would it be? If there's one thing you wish you did less or more of, what would it be? What are ways that you increased your weaknesses? What are ways you worked on increasing your strengths? Like, you can ask your teachers a lot of different questions. So find you a good teacher that you connect with that can be your mentor for one. Find you one or two, but definitely try to have a connection literally with all of your teachers in your major. If it's just science major, you want to have a connection with those teachers, but don't make sure that it's only those teachers, because you're going to need, most of your schools are going to ask you for letters from 2 science teachers and 1 non-science. So try to have a non-science teacher that you click with. And also, okay, the next thing, shadow. Even when you're in high school, shadow. Even when you're in college, shadow. You want to be shadowing different doctors. Don't just shadow one doctor. Just because you want to be a pediatrician, don't shadow a pediatrician all the time. Don't shadow anesthesiologists if that's what you want to do. Try to shadow as many areas as you can. But if you do find one that you like, shadow that one immensely. Most schools are looking at about 300 hours of shadowing. Well, some schools want you to have at least that, but at least try to have 100 and start from your freshman year or high school year. Whether it's just one day after class you do it, or on the weekends you do it, or when you have breaks. Like if you have Thanksgiving break, you got like 40 hours that you can be getting. Well, not 40, let's just say like at least 30 hours you can get Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of Thanksgiving break. Or Christmas break, you got like 2 weeks that you can get at least 40 to 50 hours. So make time for that. Like, make time to shadow. Try to get a physician that's going to ask you a lot of questions. Like, sometimes I actually don't have physicians asking me a lot of questions and they want me to ask questions. But like at one time I had a pediatrician that'll be like, so what do you think this is? Or what do you think about this? Or so I always ask your who you're shadowing a lot of questions. Like, same ones I said, ask your teacher. Like, if there's one thing you think could help you be more successful, what would it be? Things like that. So I say always develop a great relationship with who you're shadowing, even if it's multiple people, and shadow multiple people. But if you find something that you really like, shadow that immensely, and make sure that person knows enough about you to write a good letter of recommendation, because a lot of schools will look for you to shadow somebody that can write your letter of recommendation. And that's one thing I didn't have, because I shadowed so many people. I mean, I could have done it, but at that time I was like, I only shadowed them for like 3 days, even though they probably could write me a good letter of recommendation. I'd rather it be someone else who knows more about me. So shadow someone immensely who can know you close and well enough to write you a good letter of recommendation. So yes, shadow on your breaks, shadow during class, shadow during school. Anytime you have a break to shadow. Second, volunteer. Volunteer, whether it's through clubs, hospitals, anything. You can volunteer in the hospital, working as a clerk, like anything. Whatever you want to do, you need to volunteer, especially if it's in the healthcare atmosphere. They would love that. But everything does not, they like you to be more well-rounded. So just volunteering in healthcare, it's not everything they want to see. They want to see you volunteer at a daycare. They want to see you volunteer at your local food shelter, your local homeless shelter. They want to see you volunteer everywhere. So volunteering, important in different places. So another thing that I was terrible on was I didn't really have a talent. Like, I didn't have anything that when I was young, I just never had too many opportunities to like develop a talent, or my parents often had things to do and all of that. So I didn't always have time for extracurricular activities. But if you have a talent, oh, you're gonna need that. Like, if you can sing, if you can play the piano, if you can juggle, if you're a beast at debate, anything, include that on any of your, even if you have a skill that's like cosmetology, like something that you can actually make money off of, like, they want to know that. Like, if you have another skill that you're really good at, like cosmetology, welding, electrician, any of them, that is great on your application. So yeah, so another thing you want to do when you come to college is join a lot of clubs. Like, don't join so many to where you can't, focus on your studies, but join enough clubs. Like, I joined like student ambassadors, which basically just gets the word out about the school, the neighboring communities. I joined like the biology club. It's good to join stuff like the photography club, any of them. And especially if you go to a HBCU. And I know this kind of sounds bad, but a lot of clubs at HBCUs aren't as active as they should be, because, or not even HBCUs, probably could be any school, because those people are often involved in 10 other clubs. So you don't have to be super, it's not necessarily going to take so much out of you to join a club, because a lot of the members aren't super active and devoted to their club. So like student ambassadors, I know we met like once a month, and we only did like things like once a month. So you can always devote yourself to one meeting a month with one organization and completing one activity. You don't have to be in all 10 things that a club does. Like, so yeah, this year freshman year, join a few clubs, see what you like. They all don't have to be healthcare related. You can be in Spanish club, photography club, debate team, social media club. You can be in any club you want to be. Doesn't have to be related to science. At least maybe have one related to science, but honestly, the more well-rounded you look, the better. So yeah, join a lot of clubs. Once you become like a sophomore or a junior, you're gonna want to have leadership roles in those clubs, and you need to be able to explain in detail how those clubs strengthen you or strengthen your weaknesses. You want to be able to explain that in detail. So like, write that down. Like, as you're doing something, like, what exactly are you doing? How is this helping you? If you're being a tutor, is this helping your time management skills? Is this helping your patience skills? Is this helping your critical thinking skills? Everything you do needs to be strengthening you. If you're volunteering at a daycare, it's strengthening your patience. It's strengthening a lot of different things. So see exactly what you're doing and how is it actually benefiting you and can make you a better physician. And everything you do, think about, how is this making me a better physician? How is this making me a better person? That's very important. Like, you can write it down as you're doing it, whatever. I say another really important thing is to, when you're taking classes, don't think about it as you need to learn this for a test, because I think I've always been like that ever since I've been a student, period. I'm always thinking about, okay, I just need to know this for the test. I just need to know this for the test, for the test, for the test. The test is in a week. Know this for the test. All you gotta do is understand this and get to the next test. Like, once this is over with, it's done, it's out the way. I only have to remember a little bit of this for the final, but other than that, I'm just trying to get it done with for the test. That's terrible, because when the MCAT comes and the MCAT studying comes, you'll open your physics books and you'll be like, damn, I remember all of this. I remember doing all of this, but I remember none of it. I just remember learning it for the test. So when you start studying from your MCAT, you're going to have to relearn so much information, and it will definitely overwhelm you. Like, I was overwhelmed a lot during physics because I had a great teacher who explained so well, but like, it's just because I was only learning for the test and none of that information stuck in my brain. So I think it's really great if you can get a hold of some MCAT books to basically try to review what you're learning in your MCAT book at the same time. That way you can understand how this is going to be used to be applied in your class, if you get what I'm saying. So like, if I was learning buoyancy in class, I need to look at some physics examples that are using buoyancy in a real world situation or an experiment or something. I need to learn how to apply what I'm learning in class to what it can be in an MCAT, how it's presented in an MCAT question. So I think that's very important. I wish more teachers would do that, but of course everybody isn't really taking an MCAT. But so I believe that's where it is up to you to use what you're learning in class and look at how it's being applied in the MCAT context. I think that's very, very, very important when it comes to organic, physics, biochem. Always do that. Take really good notes. Because I didn't always refer back to my notes because they was in a deep, dark place under my bed. But my notes probably could have helped me a lot more if I would have actually looked at my notes. If you're struggling and you need help and you need a prayer, I'm always here. You can always message me on Instagram or Snapchat. My name is always in the bottom or whatever. But it was nice talking to you guys. If you need any help, med school advice, anything else, any video ideas or whatever, just drop it down in the comments. Thanks.